Hi, everybody. Welcome to class. I'm Alex. If we haven't met before, let's say hello properly. All right, if you're here with me on Zoom, please type hello into the chat box. I'll do the same. And just check that your settings are open. It should appear on your screen. That's it. Hi, everyone. Just check you're sharing with all panelists and attendees. If you're watching on YouTube, hello. Just use the live chat function over there as well. What's news, everybody? Tell me something good or something exciting. Can you believe it's almost the end of the year? Amazing. Hi, Prince. Nice to see you. Hello, Esperance. Apurva. I'm very well, thank you. Hello, Ajay. Harpreet, stuck with COVID at home. Because of COVID, I hope, not with COVID. Hi, Adeline from Korea. Apurva, my test is on the 9th of December. That is very close. How are you feeling? Positive, I hope. All right, let's get started. Welcome, everyone. You feel free to keep chatting in the chat box. This is a free sample live class. We run a sample class every Monday at the same time. It's a short, sweet class, and we have lots and lots of other classes during the week here at E2. Today we're focusing on speaking. Just these are instructions for you if you're here on Zoom. If you're on YouTube, you can join for free next time. Just sign up at e2language.com, make a free account, and just click on the calendar to register. Great. Hi, everyone. Oh, 4 a.m. in Sweden. Good on you for waking up or for staying up. So today, this is our quick welcome. Then we'll do some speaking practice. I'll show you 6 ways that you can boost your score. I'm going to give you a free PDF at the end, Q&A. It should go for 30 minutes. So if you're here on Zoom, I'll be chatting with you in the chat box. If you're on YouTube, e2language.com, next time, click that big green try for free button. All righty. So let's talk about IELTS speaking. Does anyone else have their test coming up or just Apurva? Ajay, you do? Next week, Harpreet and Paul. Okay, everyone's squeezing it in before the end of the year. Tasneem as well. All right. Young on Sunday. Fantastic. So this week, you guys, there are lots of classes that you can come along to and really get your English going. In this final week, try to speak English, read English, listen to English, write English all day, every day, so that your language is really available. After your test, you can put your feet up and relax and forget about English, maybe for a little while. Okay, IELTS speaking, tell me about it. How many minutes is the speaking test? How many parts? And you should know it is one-on-one with an examiner. All right, pretty close, everyone. It's minimum 11 and maximum 14 minutes. The examiner controls that. You got it. There are 3 parts and it's one-on-one. We just put a video on YouTube last week about taking the test now with the pandemic, because some places require you to wear a mask. Some places have video conferencing. Some places have both, in fact, or a screen as well. So check that out on our YouTube channel. Okay, the 3 separate parts. What happens? Part 1, personal questions. Did you know there's always a 50-50 chance for your first questions? The examiner will ask you either about where you live or what's the other one? Do you know? This is just part 1, the first few questions. Let's talk about where you live. Or Vivek, well done. Let's talk about what you do. Do you work or study? So those are your 2 options. Okay. Then anything else. Let's talk about hats. Let's talk about dancing. Let's talk about swimming. Part 2, what do you have to do here? 2-minute talk. Well done. Exactly. The examiner gives you a topic. You prepare for 1 minute. You talk for 2 minutes. Now, today we're going to focus on part 3, which is the discussion. So part 3 and part 1, they're both question and answer, but part 3 is a bit deeper, not such personal questions, not such simple questions here. As you're speaking in part 1, 2, and 3, the examiner is thinking about your score all the time. The examiner has these 4 things in their mind: fluency and coherence, lexical resource, that's vocab, grammatical range and accuracy, and pronunciation. So the examiner is always trying to think what level you are in those 4 separate areas, and the examiner will give you 4 separate scores, which are then put together into your final score. So the examiner is thinking about things like effort. Are you speaking without effort? Are you using a range of connectives, or always the same and but? Do you develop your ideas? Do you give me reasons, examples? Is your vocab accurate? Have you got some less common idiomatic vocab, maybe phrasal verbs, maybe some common expressions? Can you paraphrase? Grammar, range, accuracy, and pronunciation. Is your voice going up and down, intonation? Are you using emphasis, strong words like this? Are you connecting your speech? And are you pronouncing all the sounds correctly, like the sound, sound, R sound? All right, so in our full length speaking class, remember today just a sample. In our full length class, we have 2 of them per week. Wednesday and Friday. In those sessions, you review all of our methods for part 1s, 2, and 3. You learn vocab, practice grammar, and you practice speaking in those classes as well. So you will often have a chance to speak on the microphone. One class this week, I believe it is Friday's speaking class, is free. So if you do not have a paid package with E2, that's okay. Come along on Friday. That full session is free for everybody. Paid members, Wednesday is still paid only, so there'll be fewer people there. Okay, let's work on speaking part 3. Okay, I'm not sure if I am going to unmute people, so let's see how we go for time. Let's talk about question types. So imagine that part 2, you spoke about an environmental problem. Okay, that was your part 2 speech. What kind of questions will the examiner ask you in part 3? Part 2, I spoke about an environmental problem. What might the examiner ask me in part 3? Okay, maybe questions about health, maybe the environment, nature, about the effects. Good, Stuti says possibly about the future, something about the past. What are the problems? What are some solutions? Very good. What can we do to control pollution? Okay, so all of the part 3 questions that you get, and if you look at the topic toolkits, you'll see there's often a pattern to the questions. So every question in the IELTS test is very carefully designed to elicit or get certain language from you. So the examiner does not ask you 10 questions in the simple past, right? The examiner wants you to produce a wide range of language. So in other words, they want to hear you perform that. That's why the test is designed in a certain way. For example, the examiner probably wants you to describe or give a list of things. So this is one function of English. They want to check, can you do this effectively in English? And they may ask you a question like this. What are the biggest challenges facing parents these days? Okay, so imagine you get a question like that. What are the biggest problems for parents? Your job is to describe or list those problems. And the examiner is interested not so much in the answer, but in the language you use to do that. The examiner may ask you to give your opinion and justify or prove or back up your opinion, just like in writing. Example question, should governments do more to protect the environment? Why? So here the examiner is asking, do you agree or not? They may also ask you to speculate about the future. For example, can you think of an example question? Let's stay on environment. What's a question about the future an examiner might ask? Oh, Artie, well done. You've been looking at the methods, I can see. Great. What impacts will this have? What steps need to be taken? What measures can we take? Yeah, great. Or something like this. Do you think it will be possible to save all endangered animals from extinction? Is it possible? Will it be possible? Great, good ideas in the chat box. Thank you. Okay, so here's a list of possible questions for speaking part 3. Remember, the examiner may change the part 3 questions a little bit. They can add or remove or alter. But we've got here some good examples. So describe or list question. What are some of the major environmental problems in your country? Give your opinion, justify your opinion. Do you think the government is doing enough to fix these problems? Suggest, so offer solutions. What can individuals do to reduce their impact on the environment? And last one, speculate. Do you think the situation with the environment will be better or worse in 50 years? So notice those questions there, looking for a range of grammar, a range of functions as well. So the idea is to give you the opportunity to present diverse language to the examiner. Okay, we're going to hear an example in a moment with this question. So what are some of the major environmental problems in your country? Can you give me an answer, just like the problems? Tell me about your country. What are some environmental problems? Just in the chat box, quickly as you can. Just 1 or 2 words. Pollution. Pollution, everyone. Litter, okay, there's a new one. Congestion, okay, what do you mean by that? Drought, deforestation, urban sprawl, plastic waste, very good, me too, my country too. Water pollution, garbage, too much rubbish, global warming. All right, excellent. So that's the answer to the question. But as the examiner, I don't want to just hear the answer. You know, imagine if we're in an exam and I ask you this question and you say pollution and plastic, and that's your answer. Obviously, that's not showing me your language level. Okay, so let's think about framing and linking language. So here I mean, you want to give me a list of things, pollution, plastic. What's all that language around the answer? Okay, and this is the kind of language I'm talking about. So at the start, just want to think about the question. Where should I begin? Well, there are a lot of problems. There are a lot of issues. So I'm sort of buying time here, as Artie pointed out. First of all, pollution is a serious problem. Or I think plastic waste is the biggest problem. I think water contamination is the major concern. As well as that, there's also something on top of that. And then more thinking time. Let's see, what else? Not only, but also. So all this language is beautiful, linking, connecting language, showing variety, showing diversity. I'm going to show you it in action. Okay, so here's a sample answer. And the first time you listen, I just want you to tell me, or just answer this question. So she gives a long answer, but I want you to catch what problems does the candidate mention? Okay, so let's get ready to listen. Okay, here we go. Let's talk about the environment. What are some of the major environmental problems in your country?
Oh, where should I begin? There are a lot, like every country. I guess that pollution is probably the biggest problem. As a result of development and industrialization over the last half a century, as well as, of course, the increase in cars and vehicles on the roads, air quality has declined dramatically. This is exacerbated too by deforestation and urban sprawl, reducing the number of trees and natural places. So I think those are the biggest concern my country is facing right now.
Okay, well done. Pollution, increase in vehicles, deforestation, industrialization, very good. And you notice all that beautiful language around those answers too. Let's move.
Let's talk about.
Okay, so here's the script. Have a quick look. Oh, where should I begin? There are a lot, like every country. I guess that pollution is probably the biggest problem. As a result of development and industrialization over the last half a century, as well as, of course, the increase in cars and vehicles on the road, air quality has declined dramatically. This is exacerbated too. So this is made worse by deforestation and urban sprawl, reducing the number of trees and natural places. And then she wraps up her answer. So I think those are the biggest concerns my country is facing right now. So there's the problems that you all heard: pollution, air quality, deforestation, urban sprawl, growth of the city, and reduction in trees and natural places. But look also at the framing and the linking language. Where should I begin? There are a lot. I guess that it's probably the biggest problem as a result, as well as this is exacerbated too. And so I think, can we speak about water pollution? Drashti asked. Yeah, of course you can. You can talk about whatever you want. All right, so notice also here, remember that the examiner's also listening for vocab. And it's called less specific on the criteria, but think about it like topic specific. What good words can you see in here which might make an examiner think, oh, nice work? Yeah. And notice that collocation declined dramatically. And as a result, those words that fit together perfectly. Exacerbated, great word. Even deforestation, great topic-specific word. Urban sprawl. Yeah, so lots of good vocab in here. All right, I'm going to give you a chance, and you are just going to talk to yourself for this. If you've got your phone, by the way, it's a great idea to record yourself. If not, if you're alone, I want you to speak out loud, particularly if your test is coming up soon. If you are in a crowded place, just imagine that you're talking to the examiner. All right, so we've got down the bottom here the useful language. I'm going to click the timer and ask you the same question. I just want you to imagine that you're in the exam. You're going to try and give a nice, long answer to this question. Okay, everyone ready? Yeah, okay. So record yourself if you can, speak out loud if you can, or just imagine in your mind. Okay, here's the question for you. What are some of the major environmental problems in your country? Okay. How do we go? How was your answer? What do you think? A few not wells, a few smiley faces. Yeah, it does help sometimes having the words on the screen. And when you're preparing for the test, you don't always have to do a perfect presentation of English. Some days focus only on this language, and other days focus only on grammar, and then focus only on pronunciation. So as you prepare, give attention to those areas. It's really hard to do all of it at the same time and worry about the clock and worry about the next question. But using this vocabulary, like saying it out loud, even if you're not comfortable using it yet, that is part of the process, a really important part of the process. So maybe grab a screenshot, those of you here. And if you come to the group classes, by the way, we share a resource pack at the end of them, the small group classes, and they contain some really handy language, live classes as well. AJ, I'll answer that question later, but quick answer is there's no limit for it. Okay, let's do one more question. Okay, so this time we are looking at an opinion question. So the examiner says, do you think the government is doing enough to fix these problems? She spoke about deforestation, pollution, cutting down, well, urban sprawl rather. And this is the examiner's next question. Okay, so can you think of any useful language to give and justify your opinion? Imagine the examiner asks you this question. What are you going to say? Great point, Mariam. We don't have to give right information. Definitely. Just show your language. Doesn't have to be true. That's true. Well, give me some language for opinion. Really simple one is I agree, or I think, or very good. Yes, Harpreet, I believe. Absolutely, Adeline says. I reckon. Yeah. I guess. Not really, in my opinion. Beautiful. Here are some others. Definitely, absolutely, or make it negative. Definitely not, absolutely not. Yes and no, I'm in the middle. It's hard to say, but blah, blah, blah. Well, on the one hand, but on the other hand, I use this a lot when I do practice speaking. I would say, well, on the one hand, there are some people who think blah, 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 blah. But on the other hand, I tend to feel, unfortunately, luckily, in my opinion, I think, I feel, I believe, from my point of view, and I've heard or I've read such and such. So that's also a method, a strategy to, if you're not ready to give your answer, talk about what other people think. Most people say that, blah, blah, blah. And personally, I agree, or personally, I tend to disagree. All right, I'll answer those questions in a moment, I think. They're really good questions about ideas, pauses. Let me come back to them, but we'll have a listen to the sample answer first. Okay. So same thing again, listen to the whole speech, but just listen for this one question. What is her opinion? Okay, here we go. Do you think the government is doing enough to fix these problems?
Yes and no. They are definitely trying to tackle these issues. For instance, some areas of big cities are now closed off to cars. Cars are banned from the roads in the really built-up urban centers. But at the same time, the major polluters, the factories, are just pumping toxic gases out without restrictions. Obviously, the government is trying to balance economic, financial benefits with environmental concerns. Unfortunately, I think government, or governments really, and businesses too, the bottom line for them is money. Because of that, these huge problems aren't being addressed. Not adequately anyway.
Okay, what was her opinion? Is government doing enough? Yeah, so she started with yes and no, but then she headed more towards No, not enough. Let's have a look. I'm just going to skip that and go on to the script here. Okay. So she said, oh, yes and no, they're definitely trying to tackle these issues. For instance, some areas of big cities are now closed off to cars. Cars are banned from the roads in the really built up, the busy urban centres. But at the same time, the major polluters, the factories, are just pumping toxic gases out without restrictions. Obviously, the government is trying to balance economic, financial benefits with environmental concerns. Unfortunately, I think government, all governments really, and businesses too, the bottom line for them is money. Because of that, these problems, these huge problems, aren't being addressed, not adequately anyway. So notice here how she developed her ideas. So she's got her example. So they're trying to tackle this problem. How are they doing that? Some cities have banned cars from the urban centres. And she contrasts as well, but at the same time, or on the other hand, factories are releasing toxic gases. She gives a reason down here, so why she ultimately feels government's not doing enough. They're more interested in money. Okay, so quite a complex answer. When you're in the test, remember, sometimes if you're talking for too long, the examiner may interrupt you. But, you know, this is obviously a very considered, thoughtful, and rich essay here. Not essay, speech, I should say. All right. By the way, a lot of people are asking me, what do I do if I don't have ideas? Or what do I do if I can't think of the next thing to say? So I'm going to share with you that PDF at the end, which has 20 different topics that you can practice with. And really, that is the solution to not having ideas. It's just to practice. I think you will be surprised how many ideas you have. And just like writing, this is not a test of your ideas. It's certainly not a test of quantity of ideas. It's just a test of your language, how you express yourself, how you give your opinion. So, you know, I think that's a very common worry, but often you don't need to worry about that. Okay, so over to you. Here we go. Here's our list of useful language. And the same question for you. Do you think government is doing enough? I want you to think here about your own country. Even if you don't know what the government is doing, just give me your impression. Do you think the government is doing enough work to fix environmental problems? Okay, so just tell me what you think. I'll give you 45 seconds out loud or into your phone or in your head. Here we go. Do you think the government is doing enough to fix these problems? Okay, there we go. How did you feel? Confident? Fluent? Gabriella asks, if I make a grammar mistake, is it better to correct myself? Yeah, I think, Gabriella, it is good to correct yourself. Just as you practice, try not to do it too much because, yeah, that will affect your score, but definitely correct if you catch an error. It's not too often. Helpful. Sweater said I had a lot of gaps, use a lot of fillers. Yeah, common. So that is fine. And Bhavan has the same question. Is it okay to say, my answer is yes, but this is where I want you to record yourself. There is a big difference between hesitating like this here and there and hesitating all the time. If you speak like this, that's a problem. So you need to listen to yourself. So listen back. You will notice it, I promise you. As soon as you notice it, you will be able to reduce it. So yeah, it will make a difference if it's disruptive, definitely. By the way, today's sample questions, you can find them. So she answered 2 questions, but you can hear all 4 of her sample answers in your course. So for you guys here on Zoom or on YouTube, sign up at e2language.com, click on the course button, and then go to the speaking button over here, so course, speaking, and then down here to part 3, discussion. And today's example was practice 1. Okay, so you can hear the 4 questions and her 4 answers, and also you have a chance there to record yourself and listen back as well. So have a look at that after class for some extra practice. Okay, for more help, I'm going to show you 6 things on the site. So those of you here on Zoom, you've got access to most of these depending on your package. Okay, so keep in mind anything at E2 that involves working with your teacher, I mean one-on-one with your teacher or with assessments, then that is part of a paid package or an add-on. But the self-access course materials, some of these are available for free. So as I just showed you, go to course, go to speaking and click on the 3 different parts, and there'll be some of that available to practice with. Second thing you can do is come to the live classes. We have 2 every week, 2 speaking classes, 1 hour long. In that class, you have a chance to speak on the microphone. Some people have a chance to speak on the microphone. Wednesday this week is for paid members, and Friday this week is for everybody. Everyone welcome in that class with Graham, who is one of our amazing teachers. Third thing you can do is join a small group class. So these are kind of like this. You have a camera, you have your microphone. This is Graham here. You have 1 teacher and maximum 5 students. So it's a very small, intimate class, lots of opportunities to practice, get feedback. After your class, you also get a special feedback, a resource pack with language and links and helpful things. These are $19 per class. What else can you do? You can also submit a 2-minute speech if you have a bronze, silver or gold package. This is in your feedback section. Number 5, best thing is to work one-on-one with a teacher. So we can offer that in tutorials. We have 45-minute tutorials that you can book here, included in the gold, silver and bronze package and the Showtime package. Or you can add on a tutorial through this little button, E2 Plus Extras. And we also do our speaking intensive sessions, which are 20-minute full practice test plus feedback and scores from the teacher as well. One more thing is the mock test. The mock test is a one-on-one speaking test via Zoom with your teacher. Now, I promised a downloadable PDF. So if you are on YouTube, type 20 topics, 1 word, into the chat. If you are here on Zoom, I'm going to share a link in the chat box with you. Now, the link takes you to a blog. And on that blog, there's a video with me and Siley talking about IELTS speaking. And there's a form. And in that form, you can download our PDF. So it has the 20 topics from the toolkit and questions for part 1 and part 3. It's really useful. Just check the link in the chat box here on Zoom. Those of you on YouTube, type 20 topics, 1 word into the chat box. Okay, E2 people here on Zoom, you also have the topic toolkits. Remember, if you have a paid package, you have all 20 of those really comprehensive toolkits in the vocab section. If you're a free member, check out topic toolkit number 1. It's also really useful. All right. So these are our 6 ways that we can help you here at E2. Look at that. We're just a little bit over time. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. My name was Alex, if you missed it. If you are new to E2, I just want to mention, coming up in 1 hour and a half, we have our new member welcome. And this is a session where I'll show you all around the E2 language learning platform and answer your questions in a bit more detail. But I will stay online for a few minutes now. For those of you on Zoom, if you have questions about IELTS speaking, I'll try to answer a few of them. If you are watching on YouTube, thank you very much. And hopefully I'll see you on E2 language soon. We have about 15 classes per week, and you can prepare for the test very quickly with that number of classes.